Hello everyone, welcome to another video. From this GIF you probably know is going to be about Dragon Ball. So I just came back from the cinema about 2 hours ago, watching Dragon Ball Superhero, the movie. So like I normally do, create a PowerPoint, talk about my thoughts and a review while it's still fresh in my mind. But before we start, spoilers ahead. So I try not to spoil too much, but there will be spoilers. So you guys and gals have been warned. 3, 2, 1. All right then. And what I tend to do is play the trailer while I talk over it. So this one is the latest Dragon Ball movie that came out. Was it 2 years now after the last one, Super Dragon Ball or Dragon Ball Super Broly. And I thought that was great. By the way, the last one. I love the animation. On the topic of animation, I know there was some fans were split. The CG animations on this one, it was a bit split. Some liked it, some didn't. At first watching the trailers, I was like, oh, okay, not too a fan of it. I just felt like, because if you look at the last movie, it's mostly hand drawn, but the CG was more of a effect. They use effects like explosions and transformations and certain backgrounds and use CG for, which was great. And I thought the Dragon Ball movies were gonna go in that direction, like the last movie. This one was, even in the character design, you can see it's still kind of almost CG hand drawn, like kind of like amalgamation. You can see some of the textures like that by keeping the same designs. So it's almost like a CG slash hand drawn kind of animation. So I wasn't too. I was like, oh, okay, but you can't judge 2 minute trailers for what the movie's going to be, which is about 100 minutes long. But so I went to the cinema open-minded, and the first 5 minutes, it looked a bit kind of choppy. But as it got along, I actually really did enjoy the animation. It actually went well with the story, went well with the action scenes, some of the designs, the effects. I thought it really done good in some of the scenes, and I felt what it gave the animators a lot more freedom was certain kind of camera angles. You see some like cinema photography, if it was live action, the way that there's certain cameras zoom around here, zoom around there. I thought, okay, I see what they're doing, and then slowly, I think you kind of just become animation. I didn't see it as CG anymore. Of course, there's still certain parts was a bit rough around the edges, and I actually really enjoyed it. What did I think of the movie? I love the movie. I actually think, me personally, the fight scenes were good. I actually really enjoyed it. It was more grounded than, say, the last movie. I enjoyed the last movie fight scenes, but it was so much action packed. The last movie, it kind of by the time I got to it, I was already exhausted. I was just sitting there for an hour and hour 40 minutes, and I was getting exhausted in the last movie. This one, I didn't feel so exhausted. The fight scenes kept a bit more grounded, maybe because the characters that was in the movie are not the most powerful as ones. So they kind of grounded a bit more of the fighting. And I like the fighting because they didn't really use that much energy blasts. They did use it, but wasn't as much as, say, the last movie. And they used more hand-to-hand combat a lot more, which I liked. And this is where I think the animation actually really shines because the animation, like I said, the character, they had this sort of layer, to give that kind of material on the clothing and the skin tone and so on. And I felt when they were fighting hand-to-hand combat, the blows felt a bit more impactful. I felt because it felt like there was a physical object in that time. So I give that credit. I think that animation was better overall. But as in saying that, the last movie it had more stylized martial arts. If you know what I mean, more like if I had to compare and say classic Jet Li from Once Upon a Time in China to classic Jackie Chan in the 1980s martial arts, that kind of bit more hardcore, more impactful punches. I hope that makes sense. So the story starts is what I loved about the beginning bit. There's a lot of nods to the old Dragon Ball, original Dragon Ball, to Dragon Ball Z, and even some of the other Dragon Ball movies, little bits and pieces. And I love the beginning bit. There was a narrator talking about telling the audience, if you was old enough, you will remember the Red Ribbon Army. So it's about the Red Ribbon Army again, and talk about Doctor how from the original Dragon Ball and their world domination by the founder Red was stopped by young Goku back then. And then they kind of talked about Dr. Gyro, who created Android 1718 and Cell, and it got stopped by Goku again. And they talked about Gohan, who delivered the final blow to Cell. So it had all that. And the good thing is they kept it within context. For example, they mentioned it in the original Dragon Ball Z, where the information or the intel they had on all these events here, it does not include anything that happened on Namek, or it doesn't happen on the tournaments, when I fight Jiren and all that stuff. So they don't really know how strong Goku and Vegeta's become. Super Saiyan God and Ultra Instinct, all that is oblivious to them. And I like that, because the intel shouldn't really know all that. And I like that they kept it within, believable, that there's no way that the Red Ribbon Army would know all that. So the intel they know is what's based on recent events that's happened on Earth. So the founder's son was called Magenta, which I love. He's like remind me a bit of like Lord Farquaad from Shrek. You see him, and suddenly he's only about 5 foot tall, in lovely hairstyle. I love that. And also like his sidekick, I forgot his name now. It's like a nice quiff. Love the design. Really kind of encapsulates what their personalities are like. And, they got a front of Red Ribbon Pharmaceutical or something like that. It's like a front to fund their kind of ambition to take over the world again. But this time, so as they talk about Dr. Gyro's plans, they found that he's dead, and the only descendant Dr. Gyro has is his grandson, which is called Dr. Hido. And Dr. Hido, I think it reminds me of Gru, the way young Gru from the Minions, kind of like that look. And I'm glad, it looks like that. Very similar kind of, even some similar personality traits, but it really looks like that. But even though it looks like young Gru from Minions, but he's like 24 years old. So anyway, they go and pick him up from prison, and Red Ribbon's gonna fund him like hundreds of billions of dollars or whatever, zennies, I think it's called zennies, to build androids and so on. And and Magenta feeds Dr. Hido a bunch of BS about alien invasions, and Bulma's capsule corp is the front of alien invasion. She's an alien, this is an alien. Shows them like snippets of these what happened. And the only is what I love about Dr. Hido's character. He doesn't really believe Magenta, but he just wants to get the money and do his thing, because you can see from the beginning he's not really a bad guy, not a good guy either. He just wants to prove that he's super smart compared to his grandfather, kind of like rewrite what his grandfather did and so on. So that's why he joins forces and builds 2 androids called Gamma 1 and 2. And I like those designs. They're good characters. They're fun. Gamma 1 is kind of the older brother. You can tell by the head. One's got like 1 fin. The other one has 2 fins. And one's in blue, one's in red. The Signia. And they're really powerful. As for power levels, I'm not a power level person, so I assume they're about kind of like Super Saiyan 3-ish, because, well, I'll get into that later on. So anyway, fast forward a few months or so, and kind of the scene goes in, you see Gohan's daughter, what's her name again? Pan, training with Piccolo. She's 3 years old, and I love the way the Japanese draw those characters, or Akira Toriyama draws them so cute. Training with her, and she's lacking, she can't fly yet, but you can see she has potential. And there's a funny scene, and it talks about Piccolo saying to Pan that your dad potentially could be the toughest, most powerful person, and Pan said even tougher than Grandpa, and Piccolo who? That's funny, because I think Piccolo sees himself more of the father figure and the grandfather figure, but he's probably there more than Goku. I mean, to be honest with you, I think Piccolo probably, if you talk about emotionally, he's probably a better father than Goku was. But no, because Goku, even though Goku has helped his son and he's always there for him, but the kind of growing up and being there for someone, I think Piccolo fits the. I think he probably is probably get the best father of the year award, and probably going to be the best grandfather to Pan as well, and so on. So I love that where he goes, who? You know, Goku's never around. And then it kind of cuts into the scene where Goku and Vegeta's in the planet with Beerus and Whis as usual training, and which is a great thing as well. I hope this is canon, which I think they said it is. You see Broly there, and there's little training with him, trying to, and then Broly's about, he's powering up and starting to go green. Goku saying, "Hey, calm down, calm down. You need to control that rage." And then you can see the other characters. They were there. Can't remember that guy in orange, become a cook, and the girl, the female, called I think Shayla, something like that. And I think you see that Beerus kind of likes her, so creates a good little dynamic, bit of fun as well, bit of comedic moments. And they're talking about how Whis goes, "Why don't you do a three-way fight?" Then they both look, Goku and Vegeta look together. Now not with Broly, he might go out of control and blow up other little planets surrounding Beerus's world. So what follows was a pretty decent hand-to-hand combat with Goku and Vegeta. Oh, just before that, Vegeta was sitting down, kind of meditating. And this is a great thing. And this is, like I said, it's going to be canon. They still talk about Jiren and the Tournament of Power. And the way he's saying that is, Vegeta saying, we need to change into fighting tactics now, training, because when you look at Jiren, strength-wise, they're kind of roughly the same level. But the difference was how Jiren was, how do you say, he has so much control of his body, he didn't have to use muscle. He had to tone down, and then as a fighter, when he attacks you, a sudden movement is hard to read. So that's why Vegeta is training his mind. And then, of course, what followed was a great hand-to-hand combat, because we said there's no power-up, no Super Saiyan, no energy projectiles, just good old-fashioned hand-to-hand combat. And that was probably the first kind of hand-to-hand combat you kind of see that on that level, which I found was great. Like I said, I think overall, I think this hand-to-hand combat was better than Broly's, but Broly's more stylized. So it's kind of weird. I'm torn between both. Then and then what follows, you see Gamma, the Gamma 2, the new android that Dr. Hido created, goes and wants to test out his powers and fights Piccolo. Initially, Piccolo loses, but Piccolo uses his strength, his mind. Doesn't always go ahead and fight. He wants to find out what the motives, the characters. So he kind of uses intelligence, kind of like because they have guns, really powerful guns as well. Shoots down a big explosion, and Gamma, being a bit arrogant, thinks he vaporized Piccolo, but he escaped. It was above him, because it follows again where the android couldn't detect energy, so Piccolo's above him, he couldn't sense him. And what follows is actually pretty good. This is as much of to me, this is more of a Piccolo movie overall. I think he had the most screen time. What follows was he's infiltrating Red Ribbon Army and it was pretty good comedy elements as well. I loved it. Shows a lot of in-depth characterization of Piccolo. His willingness to find things out, organizing tactics and so on. He's got a mobile phone now, which is cool. I'm pretending that if they probably release a mobile phone case in a film, it probably sell loads. I'm thinking of buying one if they do release it. Then he infiltrates, he finds out what it is. And one good thing about this, I didn't see this coming, because I don't really read leaks or anything. I just go by the trailers. They talked about Cell and the red magenta. He wanted to do a cell called Cell Max, and so Dr. Hilo created a cell, but he didn't want to do it because, understandably, he wanted to create his own android and create his own name. He didn't want to follow his grandfather's footsteps, and also Cell 1, the original Cell, fell and he got beaten. So he wanted to kind of prove that he's a super genius compared to his grandfather. So that's a good twist. I didn't see that coming. And then he infiltrates and so on. They plan, and what I liked about the two androids, Gamma, is they believe they are superheroes, and Dr. Hilo actually built them that way to think they're heroes. Because, like I said, they're not bad guys or good guys. They're more kind of leaning toward good guys, of course. And then the plan was to get Gohan to fight, with all that power and destruction. They don't want to destroy, the area, so they try to kidnap Pan, which is great. That was a whole scene was quite funny. And then one of these pants you can read tell is Piccolo under all that disguise. Yeah, because Piccolo picked up a uniform from one of those henchmen, picks up his scent and recognizes Piccolo from his energy signature. And that follows on something where Gohan has been so lazy he couldn't even pick up Piccolo's energy signature, and Piccolo got a bit annoyed at that. That was quite funny, quite good touches. So anyway, Piccolo tells Pan to kind of pretend to play along. At the same time, I think Piccolo deep down actually wants Gohan to go over instead of stopping it. He wants to stop it, but he actually wants to bring Gohan over. So he wants to actually see Gohan being tested. So he wants to stop, the organization, but at the same time, he's actually encouraging to kidnap Pan, so to really get Gohan coming along and fight, and so also almost like a training thing as well. Just before that as well, there's a bit where he goes to Tinde, the Kami, because there's also flashbacks in some of the Dragon Ball Z where one of the elders, puts his hands over Krillin and young Gohan to kind of untap their potential. He asks him Tinde to see if he can do that, but he talks about that he has to be a certain age to do that. So they did. Tinde upgraded the dragon, Shenron, and so add that to Shenron's ability. And what follows another good scene, because they know that Bulma has actually collected all the Dragon Ball but kept it a secret. And so they call on Shenron. He asked Shenron to untap his abilities, which he did, and then the other two was for Bulma to do some cosmetic stuff, which is pretty funny. That was cool. And then then they lure Gohan in, and what followed was a pretty good fight. Like I said, I think the androids were kind of Super Saiyan 3 level, more like the top end, because Gohan went to Super Saiyan, and he still couldn't. He was winning, but the androids were learning how Gohan fights. So he beats Gohan. Then there's a funny scene was like he told Pan, because he was already next to Pan, pretending that she's in handcuffs, and he picks her up and he tells her to pretend that she's in pain or something. So she calls that in pain and then Gohan sees it. He snaps and he goes into his mystical form, and that's when he beats Gamma 1, and they're still fighting, but you can see Gohan clearly had the upper hand. So when you put it into power levels, I would say because Mr. Gohan's technically supposed to be more powerful than Super Saiyan 3. Any person out there watching this video who knows about power scaling, please let me know. So anyway, then you find out that then of course Piccolo fights a rematch with Gamma 2, and Piccolo's had the Gamma 2 had the upper hand, beats up Piccolo. There's a brilliant scene, he's falling down, and then Shenron says, I gave you an extra, so suddenly he goes extra power, boosts up, he kind of buffs up, becomes orange, or more like a Super Saiyan or Super Namek, but he called himself Orange Piccolo or something like that. There's another thing as well. I think how the CG kind of worked better, because when you go into the base of Red Ribbon Corporation, it's kind of like using like holographic. It's almost like Black Panther with that holographic kind of thing over it, like a big massive crater which become a city within, and then the scene where Piccolo's flying over it looks good. I think having CG kind of benefited that scene. So there you go. So anyway, the fight goes on. You find out that Piccolo and Gohan realize they're good guys. They're only being lied to, and then they turn their allegiance and Magenta, seeing that the tides are turned, he quickly runs away and activates Cell Max. And then Cell Max come in, they all kind of fight him. So I like the ending. I think it's great that they brought Cell back, because unpopular opinion, but I actually prefer Cell overall than Freezer. I know. Because I always liked Cell, the final form design. I thought that was a great design. I liked his kind of personality, really calm and collective. He wasn't really a bad guy either, really. Well, he was, but he was, but he's honourable as well. I like that. So it's great that they brought Cell back. A couple of things I didn't like. I thought the ending was great, but a couple of things I didn't like: the fact they made Cell Max about 20 feet, 30 feet height, too big. I thought they would have brought him back like old Cell, just like different, right? And in my mind, I was thinking they might do the repeat, because he comes out as the Cell's second form, the big lips and so on, and his tail was the change of his tail was different. It's almost like a big round hammer or something like that. I was hoping it kind of repeats the Cell saga where he absorbs, Gamma 1 and 2, and he has a new final form, and then they fight, and then of course Gohan gets extra superpower, and then beats him with the Kamehameha again, almost like a repeat. I was hoping for that. Maybe they did a version of that. Who knows, right? But I still liked it. And then Bulma comes along with some backup. You got Krillin, his wife 17. You got kind of teenagers or older teenagers, probably 16 or 17 years old. Gotenks and Trunks coming, and they all. What I love because we got the best fighters on Earth and Krillin. That was quite funny. So all joining to fight, and that was pretty fun. And they tried to fuse, and the fuse was missing, and he got a big chunky version of Gotenks, which was quite funny. I like that. And then they're saying that Gamma 1 was saying that just before that Dr. Hill trying to stop Magenta from activating, and then he gets knocked out, and so on. So then, Dr. Hideo was actually on the floor, lying, like knocked out. And Gamma 1 was telling Piccolo and everyone, saying he created a failsafe, like a weak point on his top of his head. But, he needs to blast. Once you blast it, you have to literally escape. It's going to be like a nuclear explosion or something. So all of them gang up and fight and so on. And there's a bit where Krillin reminds Piccolo that you can go, enhance his size. So so Piccolo enhances his size to Cell Max's size, and what follows a big fight. And yeah, even the Cell Max is pretty powerful. I would say probably God level, Super Saiyan God level. To be honest, I still think that either Goku or Vegeta are the most powerful God level that's single-handedly taken on Cell Max. But since they're not there. And then what followed was that, okay, they're not doing so. They hit the head a couple of times. Gamma 1 formulate a plan. He's outside of Earth's orbit, kind of like flying down. So all kind of keep Cell Max distracted, and so he tries to penetrate. But he kind of misses it because Cell puts his arms off and he kind of cuts arms, and then Gamma 2 dies, which is a shame because I actually quite liked his character. He's a funny one, or the kind of kiddie version, of the two. So he dies at the end. And then what follows a bit more fight, and then Piccolo said, I got an idea, he's going to go and distract him. But I think Piccolo planned this. He planned this to kind of boost Gohan's potential. So he knew, so he was fighting, and he told Gohan to wait for the right time. So what follows was a pretty touching scene. I've got Piccolo's getting he's getting beaten up, and he's almost can't take it, and the other heroes join in, and they get their arse handed to them as well. And so Gohan's waiting, and then what followed was like almost he thought that Piccolo's like kind of died from a punch, and then what followed was a really cool thing, like a little snap, and Gohan kind of rages out, and he has this new look with his hair. It's like white grey, and his eyes are red, he goes to beast mode. So I would love to see how powerful Gohan beast mode is. And then you find that Piccolo's still alive, and he uses his stretchy arms to wrap it around, and he tells Gohan to do, yes, take the shot. And this is a good one. I was actually expecting Gohan to do the Kamehameha, Piccolo's signature move, the cannon, but it was in the same color as the Kamehameha, blue. But he uses the cannon. I can't remember what it's called now. The super cannon, something from his forehead, and the 2 fingers. And he fires it, and it blows Cell's heads off. And then Piccolo goes, "Where'd you learn that move from?" And Gohan goes, "I do practice from time to time." So that was good. So anyway, been pretty long review. And this is a great movie overall because as much as Goku and Vegeta is the main characters, it's kind of good to kind of like let them play, second fiddle for once, and let the Earth, like the lower characters, kind of take the spotlight. I think Gohan needed this because he was a fan favorite back in the Cell Saga, and I'm not sure they did the right thing, make him into a scholar. But I'm glad he's come, and I'm glad they gave him a new form. He's gonna be. I still don't think he's up there yet, Goku and Vegeta level, but it's definitely close to that. So what would I give it? I would give this an 8.5 out of 10. So 8.5 out of 10. Overall, I would say I put this on the same level as Broly. I liked them both equally, but I think, you know what? I give them both 8 out of 10, but I think this one just edges it because I actually enjoyed the story a little bit more. And I didn't get exhausted at the end of watching it because, like I said, the Broly movie was so much fighting and so much action. I got exhausted. This one was just right. I liked the story. I liked the characterization and built upon it, and I'm glad that Gohan got the spotlight. As for animation, I end up liking it. Yes, I end up liking it. I actually hope that they actually do another movie with this style and get their techniques down, improve upon certain things, and hopefully the next movie will really showcase what their intention was with this new animation. I actually enjoyed it. 80% of it, there's a couple, like 20%, a couple of things that felt like maybe rushed or something like that. But overall, I liked it. Yeah, 8.5 out of 10. Oh yeah, another thing as well. I like the score. Not score, the soundtrack. There's some really cool soundtracks to it. It's quite kind of epic, Almost reminds me of like a Ridley Scott Blade Runner music. So Anyway, thank you for watching. Please do subscribe for more talking geeky stuff. And until next time, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are in the world. And please stay safe. Goodbye.